Taking the pardoner as the microcosm of the macrocosm that was the church, it can be said that the former. First off, this is a very oddly stated and a rather complex question. Let us understand what it is trying to say. Taking the pardoner is the central idea, the premise of this passage, the character of the pardoner in Chaucer's A Pardoner's Tale. Taking the character as a microcosm of the macrocosm that was the church. So the church being the larger whole, the pardoner being a kind of a smaller sample of it, a representation of it in a way, one can say. It can be said that the former, so in the former, we are talking about the microcosm, which is essentially the pardoner. So in very complex and roundabout language, this question is simply asking us which of the following is true about the pardoner according to the passage. Now, the church has been mentioned only once in the passage, which is in the last paragraph. We see it here. Here, his is referring to the pardoner. The psychology of the pardoner is defined by his unyielding love of money, yet his impurity is not so much a result of his sins as it is a result of his reluctance to change his ways. Skip one line further, we see the reference to the church. The church was merely his instrument for obtaining money. Here we understand that obtaining money, or the drive for money, is sin as defined by this passage. In The Pardoner's Tale, Geoffrey Chaucer masterfully frames an informal homily. Through the use of verbal and situational irony, Chaucer is able to accentuate the moral characteristics of the pardoner. Let's look to the second paragraph. We see in the prologue of the tale, the pardoner clearly admits that he preaches for nothing but the greed of gain. His sermons revolve around the biblical idea that the love of money is the root of all evil. Ironically, however, the pardoner condemns the very same vice that he lives by as he proclaims, "Avarice is the theme that I employ in all my sermons, to make the people free in giving pennies, especially to me." And the last two lines, the last two statements of this paragraph, they surmise it quite well. In this regard, one can argue that although the pardoner is evil, he is not a dissembler, he is not deceptive. His psychology is clearly not guided by hypocrisy because he does not conceal his intentions under false pretenses. So the pardoner is evil because he gives sermons about and he provides pardons to people, in all probability in the same context. The context is the love of money, that being the root of all evil. But the pardoner himself is very much in love with money. He desires money, and so he himself is a sinner, but at least he is not a hypocrite about it. At least he is honest about it. So let us look at the options. A says, wielded power over lives but did not bear responsibility towards them. This is quite an exaggeration. We are not talking about the pardoner wielding power over lives. We have seen one of the references. We see it here. His sermons revolve. So he gives out sermons. That's what his role is. That's what he has a power about. Also, from the same paragraph here, we see rather his foremost intention is to acquire as many shillings, a form of currency, as he can in exchange for his meaningless pardons. So what he does is he preaches, gives sermons, and hands out pardons to people. He doesn't have power over their lives. So quite an exaggeration. A can be eliminated. Option B says, excelled in hypocritical behavior. We've already seen the reference to this. This is incorrect. His psychology is clearly not guided by hypocrisy because he does not use false pretenses. So B is also incorrect. Option C tells us, took advantage of religion to enrich and empower itself vis-a-vis the latter. So vis-a-vis the latter, that is the church, the former took advantage of religion to enrich and empower itself or himself. The pardoner basically uses religion to enrich and empower himself. Absolutely true. He preaches for nothing but the greed of gain. He makes people free to give money because he preaches about money being the root of all evil. but he preaches them in order that they give him the money because he covets money. Notice the words covetousness, the same as greed. And greed, which we find here, is the primary evil, especially the greed for money. Covetousness, and then we have so many other words meaning the same thing. Basically, avarice, used quite a few times in the passage, means the same thing. So he uses avarice in his sermons, but he himself is avaricious. So he uses religion to enrich and empower himself. We see that particularly, many references in the passage, but we see that particularly here in the 4th paragraph. Essentially, the pardoner envelops his sermon on avarice around a subliminal message, urging his audience to purchase his indulgences, because he desires, he craves, covets money. He himself is sinful, he himself is evil. That's why we can very well say that he uses religion, his sermons, his pardons, to enrich himself and empower himself. So C can be qualified. Option D says, considered itself as lying beyond the dictates of ethical behavior. There's no reference to lying beyond the dictates of ethical behavior or absolutely unethical lying. Lying as such would be unethical in most situations, if not all situations. But that said, this cannot be connected to the church in any way because we have seen the reference to the church. That's the only reference. Cannot be connected to the pardoner as well, because we have already seen how he is not a dissembler. He does not dissemble. He does not use deception. He does not conceal his intentions under false pretenses. So there's absolutely no reference to lying. Quite the opposite. The passage again and again tells us that the pardoner, he preaches about not being covetous, because covetousness or greed, especially the greed for money, the love of money, is the root of all evil. But he himself covets money, so he is evil, but he is honest about it. So he is not lying at all. We cannot connect this in any way. Hence, the correct answer is option C.